You're watching Pyro Media Network.
I could be running or I'm chasing you, but I won't, 'cause I got better things to do. Rather spend my precious time chasing somebody who loves me too. If I got $1 for every time you slam the door, I would be the richest girl alive, life. If you hadn't run away every time I asked you stay, you would sleep right next to me tonight. But you didn't know me, all you wanted was a game to play, and you couldn't handle that I had my ways. I found your matrix and your side chicks, I'm a winner, babe. But you didn't win this, it's a part of
Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We hope your experience is fruitful. Please feel free to visit our website to find out how you can join our growing family. While we are loading your experience, please do us a quick favor and hit that like button from whichever platform you're watching or listening on. Also, share so others may enjoy as well. And we hope you would consider hitting that subscribe or follow button so you can check out more of our amazing content. All right, let's start the show.
VICKtorious! VICKtorious!
Hey. Happy Friday, Junior. Welcome to this week's episode of Dr. VICKtorious. I am Dr. VICKtorious, Dr. Nicole Vick. Yes, this podcast or video podcast is where we explore the intersections of social justice, wellness, and what it means to show up fully human, especially from a Black perspective, because as you can see, I'm Black. And I'm your host, as I said, Dr. Nicole Vick. This week, we're going to talk about motherhood. I know Mother's Day has passed, but it's my podcast. I can talk about what I want to talk about. So it's after Mother's Day, but we're going to talk about mothers. We're going to talk about motherhood. I have been a mother for almost 30 years, which is crazy. So I'm excited to jump into this episode. Before we do that, couple things. It's graduation season. So I want to give a shout out and congratulations to the 2026 class of students who graduated from Rossier School of Education. They got their doctorates in organizational change and leadership. I think it was either today or yesterday. So there's a couple folks in that cohort, in that class that I know really well and really, really proud of them and all the other graduates. So if you live in South Los Angeles, you know, around this time of year, don't go nowhere near USC. Don't, because you finna be stuck in traffic because everybody and their mama is on that campus and you can't get, just stay away, right? We have learned that lesson early on in life. We don't go over there unless we are in there for a reason. So I'm just really excited for the folks that are graduating. I had a mentee, that graduated. She got her MPH degree. I don't know what day their graduation is, but she's graduating. And so really excited about that as well. So if you're graduating, congratulations. If you went to prom, yay for you. All that good stuff is happening and whatnot. So let's go ahead and jump into my favorite segment. This is literally the most favoriteest thing that I have ever done. Shout out to the producer for suggesting it because I took it and ran with it. This stroll, because it'd be a lot of scrolling and strolling. I was like, woo, what's going on? All the tea be happening on. I'm gonna just call, we might need to rename it because everything I find is on Threads because Threads Everything happens on Threads. All the things. I didn't do this one this week. Miss Cheyenne Bryant, child, they done wore her every which way, turned her every which way, but loose on Threads. People is like, what is going on? They're making little parodies with the little doctor and foil on their neck. It's crazy over there. It's crazy. But anyway, let's jump in. So for the scroll show this week, I have 3. The first one to me feels very, oh my gosh, like this could have easily happened in 1956, but it is 2026 and it's kind of crazy. So this one I'm calling The New Jim Crow. There's actually a book called The New Jim Crow. You might want to read that. But this photograph, I feel like will be in history books or something. So this is in Nashville, Tennessee. My ancestors are from Tennessee. I have property in Tennessee. So Tennessee, I always kind of pay attention to like what y'all doing over there and what's going on. So all members of the House Democratic Caucus have been removed from their committees and subcommittees, according to a letter obtained by a local news affiliate. And this letter was signed by House Speaker Cameron Sexton and addressed to Leader Camper, states that members of the Democratic Caucus will receive individual letters removing them from all standing committees and subcommittees of the House, except where membership is required. And this photograph you see is Representative Justin Pearson, who is being barred from entering a meeting around gerrymandering. As you know, one of the key tactics that is happening right now are folks are trying to redraw lines, right? To try to shift how sort of voting power happens in certain parts of the state, well, in certain parts of the country. And I feel like various states have done one way or another to try to make that happen. So we'll see what happens, because I know elections are coming up very, very soon. I'm actually working the polls this year for the first time in a very, very long time, Because when I was doing it before, everything was on paper. And now they're like, yeah, the machine. I'm like, what? All this technology. So again, all the things that are happening, just pay attention. People always say, oh, my vote doesn't matter. But you for real have to think about the fact that if it didn't matter, why are they trying so hard to stop you from doing it? If it didn't matter, why are they trying so hard to stop it from happening and trying to make it hard for you to do? Voting Rights Act, stuff is going on with that. Folks are redrawing lines to try to shift voting power. Pay attention, okay? We're going to have to do a lot of work to make sure that people are able to vote. It is your right to be able to vote, and we need to make sure it remains fair, and that there's no funny business going on. But I mean, sounds like some funny business. So one of these days, I'm gonna have to get my friend Jackie Provost to come back on. She's really good at explaining these things in a way that makes a lot of sense. But I just want my takeaway from this today is pay attention to what's happening and please vote, because they're obviously trying to take that power away from you. So you need to go out and vote. And the other thing is that picture looks like it could have easily come from the 1950s, easily. And it's literally happened a couple of days ago, okay? The next one, I know we're going to talk about motherhood today, but I have to share this because I was on Instagram and I saw this really cute video of a father and son. And I said, oh my God, it's so amazing and adorable. And I loved how the father was talking to his son and being very aware of this child's needs and kind of being very affirming. And a lot of people in the comments were like, I'm an adult, but I needed to hear that. How you spoken to your son, I needed to hear it. And so I thought it was just so cute. And then I saw that there was a feature in People magazine of this particular family. So the photo is of Darren and Graham and his son, Ducky, who he adopted as a single father. He says, and I'm going to read a quote, "It started as a quiet thought that just wouldn't leave me alone." He tells People. He said, "I always knew I wanted to be a father, but I also knew I wasn't going to wait for life to look perfect before stepping into it, because love doesn't wait for perfect timing." Graham says he knew he was ready to build something meaningful in his life, even if it just started with him. He said it wasn't scary, single fatherhood. It felt aligned. It felt like purpose. "I am the product of a single mother, so I figured, why not? My mother displayed consistency, strength, bravery, resilience, and humility. I had the best example at possibility," is what he said. And then he talks about adoption as him being a single Black queer man. It says adoption, especially as a single Black queer man, comes with its own sets of challenges and perceptions, Graham explains. There were systems to navigate, emotions to process, and moments where patience was tested. But every challenge reminded me why I started it. It built me into the father I needed to be for him. And I thought that was just so amazing. We often don't see single fathers adopting. And again, I really liked how he interacted with his son and was very aware of what was happening, right? Sometimes as parents, and I'm gonna be honest, I was a parent, kid, like, child, go on over there somewhere and sit down. But like the child was going through something in his own little world, and dad was like, "Are you okay?" Like he literally stopped. It was like, "Are you good?" And he spoke some really beautiful, affirming messages to his son in that moment. And I was like, this is beautiful. So I want to shout him out, him and his son. Hopefully you can catch them on, I think they're on TikTok and Instagram, but amazing. And I think he gives his son space. Like, well, it's okay if you don't want to be on camera, or, we can share however much as little as you want to. And he seems to be very, very present, which I think is really cool. There's a new way we need to think about parenting our children. And I think the old ways of, not kids are to be seen and not heard and all that kind of stuff, we got to do away with. And we have to modify how we talk to our children, because times are changing, times are different now. So just want to give a shout out to him. And the last one is some foolishness and irritation. Child. I don't know if y'all saw it. I'm sure everybody and their mama seen it. Thank you, Cyrus. Yeah, I thought it was really sweet, the positive Black fathers. And I mean, there's a lot of them. So I don't, I'm not going to make it seem like he's like the only one. There's a lot of them, but I just really loved their interaction. It was really sweet. So this last scroll stroll, child, James Charles is this influencer. I don't really follow him like that. But he's the makeup and the whoop-de-doo, and you see him everywhere. He's at Coachella. He's doing this, he's doing that, da-da-da-da-da. So apparently, and now I'm starting to think, because somebody said something on Threads that made me say, you know what, you have a point, and I'll talk about it in a second. But let me explain. So apparently, someone went up in his DMs. They claimed that they had just been let go from Spirit Airlines, and we're like, I'm trying to take care of my family, and drop the GoFundMe link in Mr. Charles's DMs. Now, most people would have either donated or just ignored it. No. Homeboy gets on TikTok and makes this whole video like, get a job. I mean, what you spend, just being very condescending, being very sort of privileged in the way that he was talking about this person's plight. And thankfully, social media responded, right? The world responded like, bro, like, what are you talking about? All these people have lost their job. Funny thing about it, and I'm gonna be perfectly honest, as I was watching commentary from other people that were talking about this, I got emotional, because I said, how many of us are not even a paycheck away, not even that, half a paycheck, 2 weeks, a week away from being in a situation where if our job was gone, where are we going? Who paying the mortgage? What savings? What you talking about? It could be any of us in the same kind of situation where like, OMG, what am I supposed to do? Now, like I said, you could have ignored it. Or he could have sent $20 and it'd have been fine. No. So after all the backlash, he did apologize. He did sound like he got it. Like, ooh, I misstepped. I could have either ignored it or donated and left it alone. I didn't need to bring this to y'all like this. This was terrible. So he did apologize. But the interesting thing someone said on Threads, here's where it comes in. He has a single, some song, music coming out. And was this a way to get into the algorithm? Was this a way? Was there even a real DM from someone? Did you make this up? So that I was like, ooh, did we fall for the okie doke? We might have, y'all. I don't know. He says he can't find the DM anymore to respond to this person directly. Was there a DM? We don't know. So really interesting, but I think it was kind of a crazy thing to do, to put someone's business out there like that. Could have just ignored it. So those are my scroll strokes for this week. Let's go to commercial and we'll come back and talk about motherhood, y'all.
Hey, it's Pastor Kim from It's Just Kim Live Show, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
This is Tammy from Tammy's Take, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
All right, and we're back. So this is going to be a little bit of a conversation about motherhood. Again, we're after Mother's Day, but I mean, if you're a mother, Mother's Day is every day. You don't take a break from being a mom, so it really doesn't matter when we have this conversation. But I wanted to bring it up, and as you know, for reference, I've been a mom for almost 30 years now. Started off as a teen mom, didn't know what the heck I was doing, child. I had no idea. I am just glad the girl is still alive. My mom, I remember saying to me, like, I never thought you would have children. Like, I just didn't see you as a mother. And I'm like, dang, that ain't no vote of confidence. What's that about? But Lord, hey, we're here. She's here. She's an adult. We are friends. I'm going to see her in July. As a matter of fact, I've already made my reservations on my little plane ticket to go see her. And we're going to hang out and do, what moms and daughters do. Mother's Day was beautiful. She wasn't here. She's in Phoenix, but my brother stepped up. Hey, you want to do something for Mother's Day? And so we went to go eat at a vegan, I guess that was a Japanese restaurant. It was ramen and whatnot. And it was really, really good. So I appreciated, him kind of saying, hey, let's go hang out and, catch up because I hadn't seen him in a while. So it was great. It was wonderful. But I want to talk about, some of the things that we go through as mothers and offer some guidance and some tips on like how we can sort of push through and do better for ourselves so that we can be better for our children. So we celebrate mothers for being strong, resilient, sacrificial, but we don't really ask the cost, it takes to care for other people and why it seems like we have normalized exhaustion for Black women and what community care looks like beyond a social media slogan, right? Self-care has become sort of a catchphrase, but what does that really mean? And oftentimes it's more than just manicure or a spa day, that there are really things that we can do and put in place in our lives to take care of ourselves. So, one of the things is we've learned really early as Black women and Black mothers that strength isn't optional. Like there's no other answer. For example, when I was in school, in college and having my daughter, and I had her on a Wednesday, they sent me home on Friday, and I went to church on Easter Sunday, and I went back to school on Monday. I often say that I had no other choice. I didn't know no different to say, why am I doing this? This is too much for me. I just did it. And I feel like we're hardwired to just kind of be strong. There's really like, what else is there? And I think the antidote to that is that soft life that we hear a lot, but a lot of us are really like, I have to continue to push because I have to make sure that my future is set so that her future is set. And so it's really about survival. You just take care of it. You do it and you don't think twice about it, right? You take care of everybody else, even without asking about, well, what is this really costing me? So we are often expected to hold it together. We are often discouraged from being vulnerable. And often, when it is time to be vulnerable, it actually could feel very foreign. Like, I don't like this. What's this feeling? You start feeling like, wait, I don't like that feeling because we're not used to being vulnerable. And then exhaustion becomes normal for us. We just work and work and work. And then you drop dead in some cases, stroke, heart attack, whatever it is, right? Or you become depressed. And then there's other issues on top of that. So there's a difference between choosing to be strong and, like, again, as I said earlier, like there's what's the alternative? There is no alternative. If I'm the primary caregiver, if I am the head of this household, what other alternative is there but to be strong? Because if I'm not strong, the whole thing falls. And the funny thing about this, I'll say, is even as I have aged, right? I'm in my late 40s. I'm like, whoa, when did late 40s happen? Because I was in my mid 40s a minute ago, but now I'm in my late 40s. My child is in her almost early 30s. It still feels that way to me, that if I fall, the whole thing crumbles. The entire thing just boop. And so I feel like I'm responsible for almost everything in a way that I haven't realized until recently. I'm like, that's not healthy to have or feel like you're bearing the burden of so much. So I got to figure that out for my own self. Maybe I need a therapist or something. I don't know. But I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. We are socialized to endure, to suppress emotions, to overfunction. That's why we all got 3 degrees. Let's be real. Care for others first and to keep pushing. My first book was called Pushing Through. Come on. This is literally the playbook that I've lived my life by. And I think a lot of us have. Strength is treated less like a human quality and more like a job requirement. And so I think there's a lot of emotional labor that nobody talks about. We got to remember everybody's needs, and ours get pushed to the back. Emotional regulation for the family. We got to make sure everybody okay. Somebody's crying, this person, that. We got to be everything to everybody. We got to be the conflict mediator. We got to coordinate caregiving, daycare, school, trips here, there. We got to maintain cultural and family traditions. Often we're the head of all of that. And then we got to help our kids survive this society. We got to make sure they are not victimized by the racism and bias in our communities. Sometimes our kids go to school and get called the N-word with the hard R. Sometimes our kids are discriminated against by their teachers, and we have to navigate it, and we have to help our kids navigate it. There's so much that happens, it's like I don't even know what else to say. And I think what I will say is we often rarely get that same level of care back, right? What we put out and so much effort we put out, we don't get back. And I see Sonia is here saying, I'm feeling something right now about not carrying a few financial commitments. Yeah, it's a lot. And I feel it, and I'm sure you feel this way. Like, if I stop, everything is going to be your fault. Well, she was supposed to do this and she didn't do it and it's her fault, right? And so even if that's not true, you feel responsible for everything and everybody. And it's like, but what about me? I want to go somewhere and do something. Nope, can't do it, right? And so it's just this really interesting dynamic. And I think I don't know how we get out of it. I think we all collectively need a therapy session. Survival gets mistaken for wellness. Functioning does not equal thriving. A lot of times you see Black moms kind of walking through life and you be like, they look good, they cute, baby, and you might think we are thriving. We are functioning. Okay. We are making it happen. And we just so happen to know how to mask really well. And again, what other choice do we have? I remember, and this is unrelated, but related. When I had broken my ankle And I had went to that little hospital, and the hospital sent me back home with my broke ankle. Like, we can't help you. They sent an ambulance, sent me back home, and the ambulance people were bringing me to the front door of my house. And my house is hard to navigate to get up the stairs. So I had to kind of do this kind of combination of crawl, something. And the guy was like, "You are so strong." What other choice do I have? I'm just going to sit outside until my ankle get fixed. I have to go in the house. So what other choice do I have, right? But to figure this out so I can get myself inside the house. Or y'all done dropped me off. Ankle still broke. Like, so it's one of those things. It's like, what other choice do I have? I'm just going to sit here and cry, or I'm going to figure out how to get in my house. So it's one of those kind of things. And sometimes for us as Black women, we have this thing of, well, people will say about us, we're doing too much. And oftentimes, to be honest, we are doing too much, but we have to. There's nothing else to do. So I want to ask you some questions, and we'll move through this. When did exhaustion become normal for Black women? Why is that okay? And I would argue it became normal when we were enslaved. We were property. That was normal. And it just stayed that way, with that expectation that we're supposed to sacrifice ourselves, right, for whatever. Why are Black mothers often praised for sacrifice than softness? Because softness in our community, unfortunately, sometimes isn't a thing for us. We've been conditioned to endure. And what does wellness look like beyond survival? I think that's the big question that we have to ask and have to think about for ourselves. Okay. Let's see. What else do I want to talk about? I have a whole host of notes here about a number of things. I think one of the most important things about all of what I've just said is that your body ultimately sort of will play out what is happening, and what you're experiencing and enduring. It will come out in other ways. Hypertension, inflammation, fatigue, headaches, sleep disruption. We don't think about or talk about sleep health a lot or enough, but that's a thing. Immune system strain. Why does it feel like a lot of Black women have lupus? That's an autoimmune disorder, like that inflammation and that immune system strain, or chronic disease risk. Like, there's so much that when we are going through in life, it actually kind of plays out in our health. And you can also connect this to things like racial stress, workplace pressures, caregiving burdens, and economic strain. There's all these different things that are happening that ultimately causes our health status to be worse than our counterparts, where we're needing more health care. We're needing more mental health supports. A lot of us have anxiety and don't even realize it, undiagnosed. We are emotionally exhausted, depressed, again, and sometimes don't even realize it. Burnout. And what I want to say about burnout is, and I think I've told y'all this before, we often think of burnout as an individual issue. If the reason why you're burned out is because you have decided to overwork yourself. But in the workplace, when we talk about burnout is really a result of a poor operations in a workspace. Wait a minute, how come I have more work than this person does? How come we're understaffed and now I'm being forced to do work of 2 or 3 people? That's what burnout comes from. It's not an individual issue, it's a systemic issue. So I'd also say that burnout in general, like if you feel burned out about life, it's because you're dealing with and responding to the failures of society to protect Black women. It ain't your fault. You're operating in a system, in a society that is designed to burn you out. See, Cyrus, exactly. And so we have to think about our health, our physical health, and our mental health, because if we are going to continue to operate in the way that we are, and honestly, we don't have any choice, we have to be really paying attention to our health status, both of our mental health and our physical health, and stay on top of our screenings and whatnot. We are often not allowed to fall apart, and sometimes we need to be able to kind of let it all out and then figure out how to rebuild ourselves again. And so it's really, really important that we are thinking about those things, because those are the symptoms of some of the issues that I talked about in the first segment around all the work that we are doing, all of the emotional labor, the physical labor, and everything else that's happening for Black mothers. Let's see. And then don't even have a mental health or a healthcare issue, and then trying to navigate the system again, which is not designed in our favor. Y'all know my story. Oh, oops, broke ankle. Oh, 3 months. 3 months to get it fixed. Like, what's going on? And literally, I am a health professional. I have a public health degree, smart woman. I know stuff, I know things. And I still could not get my ankle fixed in a timely manner. Weird. And so if I couldn't figure it out, what do other people, other Black women who have health issues, how are they navigating? Add into that weight bias, ageism, ableism, all these other things that really make it hard for us to do anything. And so just, I don't know. I don't even know really. I mean, I know the point of the episode, but I just feel like there's so much. Like, how do we begin to even untangle all of it? Because there's the emotional, there's the physical, there's the, what is it, the second shift. Most of us work and then we come home and we have our second shift. We go back to work. So we work in the daytime and then we work at home because we got to keep everything together in the home, and we are spent. And so that spending of our emotional and physical selves causes us to get sick, and then we can't even get the health care that we need to get our health better. So it's just a really interesting thing. So we're getting close to closing, and so I want to talk about self-care. So we already talked about all the labor. We're talking about navigation of our health status, and then this conversation around self-care, I hear it a lot. It's a catchphrase. It sounds good. There's even a song. I have it on my Spotify. This girl talks about self-care. And I think we think about it, oh, I'm going to go to the nail shop. Or I'm going to go get my pedicure. But that really only scratches the surface about what self-care is. And so I'm going to dig a little deeper for you all. And Cyrus, yeah, it is a convoluted conversation and a balancing act at the same. Absolutely, it is. And I don't know, like, it feels like, is there an answer? And part of that answer, I think, is self-care and self-preservation, and finding ways to navigate in a way that preserves people's mental health and their physical health. And here, so let's just go into it. The first one, I know it's hard for a lot of us. I know when Sonia was on earlier talking about carrying few financial commitments, sometimes you have to say no. And I know that's hard, right? Because we're taught to endure, we're taught to be in service to others. So no sounds like we're disappointing people, we're letting people down if we say no, but it's like, but I can't continue to say yes, because that ultimately, if I burn out, I'm no good to myself. So saying no is definitely something I think that we have to get in practice. We got to get used to doing, and we don't have to be mean. I am so sorry. I cannot help you. That's it. Is there, maybe I can do something differently, but I really support you and everything you do, but unfortunately I can't give you that money, or I am so sorry. I know you expected the X, Y, and Z. I can't do it. I don't have the bandwidth. That's the thing I learned in my research. You got to use those words. I don't have the bandwidth. The other one is not overcommitting. That's something I'm bad at, because I will join a committee. I will join a board. I will join the this and the that and the this, because I want to be so helpful. But I also am learning that could potentially be me a trauma response for me, that there's something about me having to feel the need to be useful or helpful. And if I don't, then there's something, I don't know. I got to dig into that too. So we might got to go to therapy again and figure that all out, but not overcommitting, not joining all these things. Cause I do that. I join all these things and then I'm irritated. Like, Nicole, it wasn't mandatory that you join 25 things. Nobody said, why are you, this is your fault. This is self-imposed, ma'am. So hello. And something my daughter told me, and she's good at catching me and telling me about myself. You keep resetting the goalpost. You get to here and you do this thing and it's like, yeah. and then you go and you move it forward. You move the goalpost forward. You don't even celebrate and be happy here. You get dissatisfied and keep moving it forward, and then you're frustrated. I say, why are you talking to me like this? I don't understand why you're yelling at me. And I don't like it. But she's right. And I think a lot of us have to do that deep dive into who we are and really think about how we set boundaries, saying no, not overcommitting, protecting emotional energy. I don't want to be a part of this conversation. I'm going to excuse myself because I don't want to be upset. And being okay with that. Making sure you're not always accessible to people. Because as I said earlier, a lot of times we extend forward, but we don't get it back in return. And I don't think you should always do things in a transactional way, but you do have to pay attention though, and recognize where you are overextending and you're being overly accessible and always around, but not getting that same help back when you need it. You also got to release guilt around boundaries. So when you say no, you can't be guilty. You can't feel guilty. You can't feel bad about it. I can't help you. But here's a resource. You might want to at least pass them to someone else. That's fine. But you got to be okay with saying, I have to protect myself first. Because if I go down and I'm in the hospital or I'm at home with a broken ankle, ain't nobody finna come see me, right? So I need to be okay and take care of myself. And just be very thoughtful about what you give to other people. And it's okay. I think that's okay to do. Rest. Rest before burnout. Don't wait until you get right to the edge to be like, oh, I probably should sit down. No. Please rest. Reject grind culture, which is hard, especially now with the economy. I mean, when gas is when it cost me $80 something to fill my gas tank. The reality is I'm thinking about, well, I need to find other employment. I need to get a side job on top of my job. And I actually make a nice salary, but for some reason, and it's no longer a good enough salary because the price of everything is going up. So how do you reject grind culture in this economy? I actually don't have an answer for that. But there's some things that we have to really think about because it's going to wear you down. Sometimes we feel guilty for resting. Child, if you don't do, you better go to take a nap. What's that lady that has the nap ministry? You better go lay down and rest your spirit and get a good night's sleep and be okay with resting because we just can't go. We're not treadmills, right? We can't just keep going. We have to stop. Stillness as healing is also something we have to think about. So rest, yes, but also being still and sitting with yourself. Journaling is a good way to be still with yourself and really get time to self-reflect. That's often how I figure out things about me. Like, you know what? I realize that I do A, B, and C, and that don't really make no sense. Or talking to someone you trust, like my daughter, she'll be like, yep, that's exactly what's wrong with you. Cyrus, you say you live in New York and make really good money, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be enough. It's not. And I keep hearing people say that this is the tip of the iceberg, that it's going to get worse. And I can't imagine how worse or how, like, what you mean it's going to get worse. I don't understand that. But I also understand that we need to be prepared. I don't know. That might be another episode, Cyrus. We have to talk about that. Like, what are we supposed to be doing to prepare when everything is already too expensive? There's a lot of people, because one of the things people say, save money. How? There's so many unemployed people right now. What are they saving? So that actually is a good idea about a future episode. Thank you, Cyrus, for bringing that up. So I'll kind of start to close out. We need to normalize annual checkups, therapy, support groups, medication if needed. It's okay. Don't be afraid of it. I had to take medication. I had anxiety. I actually had acute anxiety back in 2011, I think it was, and I couldn't drive. And so I had to take medication to get me okay, and then I was okay. So don't be afraid of medication. Do your research, get the information, but don't think of it as, oh, I don't want that. It's really important if you need it to take it. Asking questions in healthcare settings, Trust your doctor, yes, but ask questions like, well, what was going on and why? And can we do this or that, or what are my options? And making sure you're staying on top of your appointments. I think those are some other things to do that are really important. And the last thing I'll say is ask for help. I think that's really important and something that for moms, especially Black moms, Black women in general, we will walk around on our kneecaps and scrape the ground trying to do something before we ask for help. It don't make no sense, but that's what we do. We would rather, that's all right. I got it. And we over here limping. That's all right. If you don't call that person and ask them to help you, call and ask somebody to help you. But we're so used to not getting the care and consideration and the help that we say, that's all right. I will figure it out. But we have to get good at asking for help, because I am of the belief that help will show up when you need it. You all know the story about John. I couldn't drive. My ankle was broke. How I was going to get to the doctor? My brother works. He has a job. My daughter was already in Phoenix. And so, and I had just met him and he was like, I'll take you. And then my other friends, of course, showed up too. So there was at least 3 of them on a regular basis that were taking me back and forth to the doctor. So, but I had to ask. I'm like, I can't go. I need help. And they showed up. So you have to ask for help and not be afraid to ask. It's okay to receive care. It's okay to delegate. It's okay to accept support. And it's okay to let community show up for you, because ultimately people will show up for you. It might not be who you thought would show up for you or who you expected, but people will show up for you. And I would say the other side of that is be ready to show up for them. Be ready. Because it's not fair to take, money out of the friendship bank account and not put money back. So be okay with asking for help, but be ready to give it as well. Okay. And that's all for this episode. I know I talked about a lot, but I hope it was helpful for you to really understand the magnitude of Black motherhood, the work, the labor, and then talking about how that plays out in our bodies and in our minds, and then some tips on how to move through it. We can't change society by ourselves. That's the bigger issue, the upstream. I talked about upstream approaches today. That's the upstream thing, but there's some things that we can do downstream personally and individually to make ourselves better people, better mothers for our children and our families and for our communities. So yeah, I'll stop there. Let's go ahead to commercial as we end in like 2 minutes, but that's all right. We're going to go to commercial and we're going to come back and close out.
Hey, how y'all doing? Real quick, this is Daryl Walter, host of the Daryl Walter Show. I know. And you are watching Pyro Media Network.
All right, we are at the last section called the doctor's notes. And I just think a beautiful way to end this is to think about our role as mothers in regards to intergenerational healing. We set the tone for our children and their children all the way down, right? And so we need to talk about things about breaking cycles of over-sacrifice, modeling wellness for children. So if we learn how to create self-care and create boundaries, we're teaching our children the same thing, and then they grow up and they teach their children, and then we have well-adjusted grown people in the world, which is what we need. We also need to teach them rest and emotional honesty, and redefining what strength means for future generations. And so maybe healing, a part of self-care and setting boundaries and moving forward for us, actually looks like teaching our next generation that their worth is not tied to how much suffering they can endure. We don't want that, especially for our daughters, and certainly not for our sons. So I think as we think about, dang, we do so much. Ooh, it has an impact on our health, our mental health, and our physical health. Well, I need to learn how to take care of myself. Also, let's move that forward for future generations, y'all. That's my doctor's note for this evening. Thank you all for watching. This has been amazing. I love talking to y'all. And every time I create an episode, a single, like with just me talking, I'm like, I'm not going to have enough to say. And I look at the clock. I'm like, child, and went over time. I'm about to get in trouble. I'm going to be and get a whooping from the producer. But my bad. Before we actually leave, remember, I have a beautiful website, www.NicoleDVick.com, where you can find podcast episodes. Either I was a guest or this podcast. You can find some. I think I still have some nail art up. I see my hands on the screen there. And then I have my books for purchase. I think a couple weeks ago was Black Authors Day or something like that. I'm like, oh yeah, I wrote some things. So those are my books on the screen you see there. You can buy those on my website as well. And then you can follow me on social media. I am proud of myself on LinkedIn. I just be talking. Somebody reposted, actually a few people repost some of the stuff that I post. And I think on one post, I got like 2,000 views. I'm like, wait a minute, y'all be looking at what I'm saying. What's going on? Okay. So follow me on LinkedIn. I'm also on Instagram. My Instagram is Dr. VICKtorious. And so that's where all the podcast and professionally public healthy stuff goes. And then Nicole D. Vick is like personal stuff, my little fashion and whoop-de-whoops and stuff like that is on Instagram. All right, y'all. See you next week. You all take care and see ya. Bye.
Thank you for watching Pyro Media Network. For more information, please visit pyromedianetwork.com.